Later than scheduled, Channel 4's dedication to Marc Bolan. He died 15 years ago today at the age of 29, and this programme is a tribute to the poet, musician and legendary star of the late 60s and 70s.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and think, in another 20 or 30 years I'm going to be 50 or 60, what shall I be doing? You don't?
Never think about it. I mean...
It doesn't haunt you?
What did someone said something with a very deep voice like Lord Tennyson?
It doesn't haunt you, that in the end?
I don't think I'll live that long.
You don't?
No.
Marc Bolan had his first hit single at the age of 23. It was not a flash in the pan, it was not overnight success. The road to the top had been long, hard and tiring. His untimely death on the morning of September the 16th, 1977 in a car crash stunned his fans and the music world alike. As the opening clip so chillingly illustrated, Marc always carried with him the premonition of an early death. His obsession with cars, both in his private life and through his songs, ironically became a focus of his death 2 weeks prior to his 30th birthday.
And I noticed that several of your songs make references to cars. The one you just did, Jeepster, earlier on, there's a verse about, I wrote it down, just like a car, you're pleasing to behold, I'll call you Jaguar if I may be so bold.
I meant the animal, actually.
I see. But I noticed in another of your lyrics, you say, I'll buy you a car and then I'll throw it away later. But is car very important? Are cars important?
Cadillac. I mean, I've got that for an amazing car which someone gave to me at one point. An old Cadillac, which was a work of art. It was a masterpiece.
As a car?
I don't drive, but I mean, it's an amazing car, yeah.
Born Marc Feld on the 30th of September 1947 in London, he grew up absorbing the musical influences of the 50s in the sounds of Presley, Cochrane and Haley. After a brief adventure in modelling clothes, his musical career started as a solo artist with little real success before joining his first serious band, John's Children. The frustration of not being in total control led to his departure from this band. The sudden move left him without equipment, and so, armed with only an acoustic guitar, he teamed up with percussionist Steve Peregrine Took and named the duo Tyrannosaurus Rex. Over the next 2.5 years, the foundation of Bolan's rise to superstardom was built. In that period, Bolan flirted with the singles chart and made even further headway with the 3 albums that spanned the partnership with Took. Following musical and personal differences, Took left, and in the autumn of 1969, Mickey Finn arrived on the scene, and that gave Marc a much clearer vision of the future. Within a year, with the name now shortened to the much more manageable T-Rex, Bolan was about to unleash his first hit single, Ride a White Swan. June Feld, Marc's widow, reflects.
We were living in Marble Arch then, in one of those high-rise security prisons, and it had a spare bedroom which we'd egg-boxed and done all that stuff to. And we were sitting in the sitting room, and he suddenly got this... He used to get this weird look in his eyes, this sort of third-dimensional sort of space look. And he suddenly jumped up and he whisked off. He said, I've got to go. And off he went, and with all this plinking and plonking and... And I had the television on, and I was reading and doing a crossword and all things at the same time. And so he said, come and listen to this. And I whizzed out, went into the room, and it was... And there it was, Ride a White Swan. And it was on, he said... And then the first thing he always asked, I don't know if he asked anybody else this, is, does it sound like anything else? Does it sound like anything you've ever heard before? And then I'd listen and I'd say, well, a bit like whatever, a bit of Howling Wolf in there or a bit of Bob Dylan or... No, I haven't! And then you go away. You say, well, go out. You go out and you hear both... Used to do it on TX, had 2 linked TX. And you go out and you hear the tapes whizzing back. And then he'd drop it down a track because he'd go on to the next track. And then you'd hear... And it suddenly would alter subtly and change. And then you get called back and you're summoned. Then you go, sit on the floor. No chairs. On the floor. Hit the knob and then he'd play. And then you'd listen. And he'd say, what do you think? And I said, it's great, wonderful. I'm sure it'll be a hit. Doesn't sound like anybody else? No, it doesn't sound like anybody else. And that was it. And it was done. And then he'd used to ring Tony Visconti. Whatever time, day or night, didn't matter. It could be 4 in the morning when he'd done that. And then it was, Tone, I've just written the next single. And then, can I come over? And often we'd go over at 4 in the morning with his TAC tape. And Tony would be up. He'd play it. And he'd offer suggestions which Marc took no notice of. Then Marc would go away. And suddenly when they got to the studio, some of Tony's suggestions were in there, but they weren't Tony's, they were Marc's. All Marc's.
And a tattooed gown, and a white swan where the people all belting way along, baby, can't go wrong. Catch a bright star and place it on your forehead, silky spells, and baby, there you go. Take a black cat and sit it on your shoulder, and in the morning you'll know me now.
By the end of 1970, whilst Ride a White Swan rode high in the singles chart, T-Rex expanded the sound by recruiting bass guitarist Steve Curry. When 1971 finally dawned, Bolan knew that he needed a drummer. It was actually Tony Visconti who found the answer.
When Tony asked me, I just said, well, yeah, I'll give it a go. No problems. I was aware of their newfound success as far as Ride a White Swan. But I must admit, I went out and bought some of the old albums because I'd never heard anything before that Marc had done previously. So I was just trying to familiarise myself with what he was doing, and I went from there.
Well, she's my woman of gold, and she's nothing low down. I don't mean to be bold, but to me I hold your hand. Well, she ain't no witch, and I love the way she twitch your arm. Well, she ain't no witch, and I love the way she twitch your arm. I'm a labor of love in my Persian gloves. Well, she's faster than most, and she lives on the coast. Well, she's faster than most, and she lives on the coast. I'm a too pretty prince, and I give her hot love. Take down evil.
The one I liked most was Hot Love. That just got a lovely lilt to it, and it was just... In fact, when we were on stage and it used to break strings, I always used to play that. Go into that, and I even used to sing it, you know, messing about. I don't know, I just liked it. It was perfect, really.
She ain't no witch, and I love the way she treats you. Well, she ain't no witch, and I love the way she treats you. I'm a too pretty prince, and I give her heart.
Hot Love was singer and TV presenter Paul King's inspiration.
I remember, you know, as a child, previous to that, watching Top of the Pops, because my sister was older and stuff, and I'd watch it and take music in and stuff. But it was just, for me, the unique combination of the age I was at and the fact that suddenly there was this person that was completely alien to anything I'd ever seen before as a pop performer or as a pop star or whatever. And it was just, the whole thing was right for me and the time. And suddenly I took on this whole world of pop music, and Bolan was just an amazing star and performer. And I managed to persuade my parents that I could purchase this record with a little bit of their help. Because again, it was a unique thing for me to say, I want to buy a record. It's like, what do you want money for records for? And so I went off, and I think it was 45 pence or something like that for my first ever record. I remember going into Coventry City Centre on the bus to Jill Hanson's record shop and picking up Hot Love on Fly Records and sitting there on the way home on the bus and reading all the credits and flying. It's like a whole thing for me. And for the next 3 years, Bolan was the complete thing which I worshipped and watched, and had a very big effect on my life, really.
Hot Love was Bolan's first #1, holding the top spot for 4 weeks. There was little doubt that the follow-up single would be a success, but no one, least of all Marc, could truly have expected Get It On to be the #1 best-selling single for an incredible 6 weeks.
He cracked something that was huge, and the sound of it was so sexual, and as I said before, this androgyny became so attractive, much like Madonna is doing now, except that her records, they've got a lot of sexuality in there, but they hadn't got that that sort of, you could almost touch the sound in Marc's records, and Get It On in particular. It always sounds like people were having a real good time in there.
What album it was, but Marc was looking for a title, and of course I came up with a crazy one, and it was called Total Rex and the Space Cadets. Now, Marc liked it, you know, and I wanted to do 2 Bisto Boys, you know, the Bisto Boys, but using our faces. Now, Marc liked it, but because it didn't come from his direction, or we didn't work it out together. I'm not saying there was any egotism against each other about it, but he knocked it over, you know, knocked it back. But I mean, he did take, you know, a few things like my fame line was, meanwhile, I'm still thinking.